conversations. Let's have real conversations.
Get ready to stir it up.
Life events and everything in between. Let's go.
Get ready to stir it up.
No capping. If guests got you covered right up.
Get ready to stir it up. Stir it up.
Come on.
Get ready to stir it up.
Welcome to Stir It Up. Today, I've got Mr. Samir Riafe. Mr. Samir Riafe is a psychologist at the Ghana East Clinic Hospital. Municipal Hospital. And he's here today for us to talk about gratitude. I always say that gratitude is one of the things that influences how happy we are as people. Would you agree?
I do agree.
Thank you. Now, my first experience with gratitude was, and I talk about this, not the first time I said thank you or anything, was with my grandma. I'd gone to live with my grandma at age 10. And someone had given me a gift in the house. And it was a very simple gift. And my grandma said to me the following morning to wake up early in the morning and go and say thank you. And I had never had to do that in my life. But ever since then, I've always, anytime someone did something for me, the following day I'll make a phone call and say thank you. Even if guests came to my party, I would say thank you to them the following day, right? And I remember doing it to my dad the first time when I was about maybe 16, 17. He had done something for me and I had said thank you to him the following day. And he says, "Why in a chair, sir?" And I said, which means, who taught you that? Mm-hmm. And I said, "Mama." And he says, you could see the look on his face, right? But what it had taught me as a growing child was learning to, his reaction taught me that people love it when you show appreciation to them. But it also taught me how to be appreciative of even the smallest things, because then I found value with the things I have. So this is going to be both a personal conversation for me, but also a learning experience. So, welcome.
Thank you very much.
First thing is, what does it mean when we talk about gratitude?
Yeah, so thank you very much and for the opportunity once again to discuss this very important topic. It's very essential, and that's one of the things which comes up a lot in therapy about gratitude and how people have to express gratitude. And as you rightly said, you see the direct benefit when you show it to people where they genuinely express this sense of happiness and when you thank them for doing something for you or showing you some sense of kindness. Yeah, but it's not just about saying thank you, but it's about actually recognizing and acknowledging the little things as well as the big things in our life and being thankful for them. That's basically what gratitude basically means. So it starts with the acknowledgement and recognition that some things have happened in your life or are happening in your life and being appreciative of them. That's basically what we mean by gratitude. Yeah.
Okay. So when I think about showing gratitude, beyond saying thank you, different people show gratitude differently. Are there different ways? I have seen people express gratitude to me in different ways. Are there different ways beyond saying thank you of expressing gratitude?
Yes, certainly. Different people would express gratitude in different ways, and some of them will come in an act of service, where people will do certain things for you because they acknowledge something that you did for them probably before, or some people would also shower you gifts, and they will buy gifts, and some people also volunteer and do some things, altruistic behaviors that people show. And so there are different ways people would show how grateful they are to you, basically. And we talk about quality time and how people in times people would come and stay with you, and you see it in our culture, especially during bereavement. You see people there also. It's not always the fact that they are mandated to be there or anything, but it's also some of them also feel like when it happened before, you were there for them, and so this is your time, and they have to be there at weddings and other things. People come and show all of those supports, are all acts of gratitude that people show.
Okay. So I hear there are a lot of non-verbal ways of showing gratitude. There are a lot of actions to show appreciation. And are there other creative ways? So when I say creative ways, I think that when, in the creative expressions of gratitude that could come to your mind.
So people might write poems and
love letters.
Okay, others will.
Look at me, I'm like a girl.
Others will also. We have moments where people do a statue of someone to honor them, or would do a painting and say, "Hey, this is for you." Or do a song, say dedicated to someone. People write books and dedicate it to others.
So that's a creative expression of gratitude.
Yeah, for me, that also falls within that.
I think it's good to hear this so that people understand that because a lot of the time we get fixated and say that someone is not appreciative or someone is ungrateful. They said thank you and that was it, right? Or they didn't say thank you. But it's good to acknowledge that different people express gratitude in very different ways, right? And you've given quite a holistic list of ways that people could be expressing their gratitude. So where do we learn gratitude from?
So like many skills, for us psychologists, we believe that a significant amount of these skills are learned within the environment that we grow. We observe people, we model, as we see people show it. So in our homes, how we are taught how to be grateful. And from the story you shared, your grandma taught you this. And so these are behaviors that we see and observe people do. Another way is we look at it from what people are commended or rewarded for. And so when someone shows gratitude and they get a positive outcome, then it shows to us that that's a good thing to also do. Or when you don't show gratitude and then you lose certain things or you get punished for it, you know that that's not a good habit. So you learn to be more grateful. And so based on the expectation, based on the experience that we get, we actually learn gratitude from. If it's a direct benefit or even if others benefit from it, we see and learn from it. But there may be other variables to that, accounts to that.
So effectively, we do need to start teaching our children gratitude from a very young age.
Very, very young. Because I said it's modeling. If the parents are not grateful, people bring them things and they are like, okay, doesn't matter. They don't show gratitude. They don't appreciate.
They don't say thank you.
They don't show thank you. Or even if the children do things, they are seen as their responsibilities and they just let it go. They don't say, hey, thank you for sweeping here for me. This is as basic as it is. And it's like, you're a child, you have to be doing this. And they learn that, okay, it's routine. And so when they take things for granted, if things are happen to them as well. And so it's important that we inculcate the habit in our daily lives. A lot of people are not showing thankfulness or gratitude this time because they were never taught. Even the things they do for people are seen as a response. They are fulfilling their responsibility. And so they also learn that.
But they could decide that they wouldn't do it, and it will be hard to enforce it.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Okay. And so if we see it as, even though it might seem like a responsibility, as for example, your parents paying your fees.
You should show appreciation.
Exactly. Right? So when it's perceived as he did this, he paid it, he did his response, it's his duty to pay my fees, you don't see the need to say, call one day and say, hey, Dad, thank you so much for always paying the fees on time.
Based on that, do you feel that we have a growing sense of entitlement?
Yes, especially in the young generation now. The research is pointing to that point where there's an increased sense of entitlement.
How so?
Well, because we are also inclining more to materialism. Okay. And so there's less concern about the interconnectedness and all of those. And these are the variables you need to maintain relationships and keep relationships going and all of those. But generally, because people think people have to do things and they don't have to be told. It's not.
You have to. This is your responsibility.
Yes, so you have to fulfill it. Irrespective than before, when you felt like it's actually a big deal for you to have, say, for your parents to be able to provide food at home. Now the children have food at home. They don't have to worry about where the meal will come from. Many homes have internet, has TV. Before, you have to go and watch TV in that one place that there's TV.
And be like this in the net.
So you value the TV set, even having the chance to, and all the permissions you need to even to go and watch. One day, if they allow you to go and watch, that's a big deal. So you not take that for granted. But now things come easy, and people receive things very easy. So it's to some extent makes it difficult for them to know the difference between when they have to be thankful or show some appreciation. And it's sad because the older generation also expects
that
the gratitude, and so it's not matching, because to them it's okay, and the older generation also expects it. So it's a mismatch to some degree.
Okay. So it's good that we've kind of talked about the different generations and how they see gratitude, right? Is gratitude a mindset? And if it is, how is it a mindset?
Okay, so it's a mindset. It has to be intentional. Okay, it's not something that comes naturally. You have to be in it. You have to be able to see the little things and appreciate them. It doesn't come easy, because we want the big things. Everybody is looking at what they don't have. They are not paying attention to what they have and what is working for them. Okay, because we call something hedonistic levels of happiness. So you want the big car and you get
higher levels.
Yes, you always want something big to go up, And so in the same way, so to be thankful or to show gratitude, you need to be very intentional to inculcate it as a skill, as a fundamental skill. And that's sometimes it's difficult. Okay. Yeah, that's very, very difficult, I must say.
So, but you need to be intentional and say, for all the little things, I want to be thankful, right? And does that influence your happiness and your overall well-being when you are able to master it and have a more great, and we'll talk about how you get there, but when you're able to become a more grateful person, have a more grateful mindset, does that influence your well-being and your mental health?
Certainly.
How so?
Being grateful. I'll take you a bit to the science and then bring you back.
That's fine.
Okay, so when you learn to be thankful or show gratitude, okay, what it does is that it refocuses. So it moves your attention from the negativities, okay, and then brings you back to reflect more on what has worked. Now, what it does is that it gives you a sense of comfort, right? And then when you get there, it then relaxes your brain. So your prefrontal cortex, which is this part of the brain, okay, then begins to work. So it helps you to be able to plan, make judgments, and reason, and what we call executive functions. You begin to use them very well. Okay, so you make less errors and become more productive to some degree. Okay, aside that, too, when you are more relaxed, you are releasing more happy hormones. Okay, it reduces your stress levels, and so your immune system is stronger. Okay, and that helps you to be healthy overall. Health, you become healthier in that sense. Okay, because your well-being is optimal. It's gone up too. Okay, aside that, you realize that you value little things. Okay, so you begin to enjoy the little things too. Little things as meals, shower, your own house, music, enjoying the air around you, relationships, little things. You don't crave for big things. It reduces your external attachment to material things. You want the big house, but if you don't have the big house, you still know how to sleep on your small bed and enjoy a good sleep. Those kinds of things also begin to come in, and you begin to be much happier in that sense. It helps you to improve your relationships. If I'm not sure anybody would want to be with people who are not thankful. They want people who value them, see the input they make in their lives, who appreciate them and want and acknowledges them in that sense. So your relationships also becomes healthier as well, because you value the little things. You value that person who gave you coffee. You value that person who just called to check up on you, and you value that person who just sent a text message. Hey, how are you? It's been a while. Just those little things helps too. Aside that, being thankful helps you to build tools for resilience. And resilience is your ability to bounce back in difficult times. And so sometimes when you are in that difficult moment, when things have gone down and things are not so difficult for you to see, when you begin to do a reflection and rather look at what has worked, it gives you a litmus. It gives you a template of how you can get back out of those difficult moments too. So it helps you, gives you that experience. And that's when you pay attention to the little things that also worked for you, and not looking at what didn't work and how maybe things went down, but rather paid attention to some of the things that worked along the line, the new connections, the experiences, the skills you built. You realize that you have learned a lot of things that you can also leverage on to build back your life together. And so that also helps a lot in that way. And so gratitude has a lot of benefits if it's implemented in our daily lives.
So thinking about the workplace, when you foster a culture of gratitude amongst your people, how does that help build a better workplace culture?
Okay. I almost went into the workplace when I spoke about the coffee. But basically, I would say just imagine your boss comes to work and say, hey guys, I'm so grateful for all the things you've done in this workplace and how far we've grown. And expresses some appreciation for all the work you have done. For all the works you have done, you would see that the whole day your work outputs
It's even better.
better. You feel much better. Your attitudes are better. In the same way, if your boss gives you gifts, and then or maybe bonuses or something, and then you find a way to tell him. You don't see it as like an entitlement. Like, people, even when their salaries are paid, I'm not sure people would say, oh, let me say thank you to boss for, like.
It's like,
exactly.
I worked for it.
I worked for it, yeah. So imagine that there's a feedback loop that people appreciate that in spite of these difficulties, their boss is able to find money and pay them. Won't it change the way the boss also, even when things are difficult? I'm sure he would try to figure out some strategy because of that feedback as well. And so overall, it enhances the work environment, provide a culture of safety for people to work in, because they know that they are not being taken for granted. They know that their works are being seen. They know that they are being acknowledged. They know, and then there's productivity. Employee turnover is reduced because everybody wants to work in that environment, where they are well appreciated and acknowledged in terms of the input they make in the organization, and everybody wants to be respected as well, and all of those. So you see that their commitment level to the organization too has gone up, and they really, really value the organization as well. If the organization is doing so well, but these cultures are not there, you see that the people are just coming to work, but they are not too committed to their work. So
interesting. Let's bring this kind of question into romantic relationships. So I did a course on the science of happiness and well-being, and I read a study that said that couples that expressed gratitude often amongst themselves often felt more comfortable expressing their concerns and their challenges about the relationship, and also receptivity about that feedback or the challenges was also higher, right? What are your thoughts based on your clinical experience?
I mean, it's valid. It's like the facts, okay? Because in a normal relationship, imagine that you're only getting negative feedback. It gets to a point you wouldn't want to. It's like you are walking on an eggshell because you don't know what you are not doing right or what you're doing. But if your partner is able to see both the good and the bad, and is able to create that environment. So when it's going well, they acknowledge, they appreciate, they reward. I'm sure that it will create that environment where you feel free, and then you'll not take criticisms as
out of play.
It's like you're always complaining kind of a thing. The person would see it as a fair assessment of the situation, because when it's going well, the person talks about, and then when it's not going well, the person tells me. So it is not a person who only looks at the negatives, but also objectively pays attention to the positives as well. And so basically that's how it works. You want the environment becomes safe for each person to be able to share and also receive constructive criticisms as well in the relationship.
When you are a grateful person, how does it impact your perspective on material possessions and wealth?
Yeah, generally, I mean, the Bible says we should be content.
Content with nothing?
and that is usually very difficult. But
Yeah.
you see that when you learn to practice gratitude, that becomes easy to achieve. Okay. It doesn't mean you don't strive for big things.
Yes.
But you don't form attachments with the big things.
I agree.
Do you understand?
Yes.
And that's what happens when you practice gratitude. Even though you would want the big thing, you also learn to enjoy the smaller things. So then your attachment is not really, your life is not dependent on the big thing actually happening before you feel like there's a need
You're
to
happy.
live.
Yeah.
You have a certain sense of purpose and a meaning for your life that is engrossed in that gratitude. You learn to enjoy life based on what you have, what is happening and what is going on. And you live more in the present too. So there's a less attachment to material things. Okay. And it makes you happier. If actually the science is saying that the less you are attached to material things,
The more content you are.
yes, the happier you become. And so that's what it happens. And we've seen a lot of people who have so many things that they are not happy. And that's because they keep attaching themselves to those things. And
So you're less material, you're more content. We've talked a bit about resilience, and I think the resilience comes to play as well, right?
Yes.
And it also potentially even improves your social relationships.
Exactly,
because
which we
that
mentioned.
comparison doesn't come. So you don't really care what the next person has
Exactly.
or what they don't have, right?
Yes.
Because you are content with your lot.
Yes.
So I'm not looking into your pot and
Yes.
saying, oh, how many pieces of beef has he got in that pot? Yeah.
Yes.
I've got that. Okay. Does gratitude influence how we make decisions and the choices that we make?
It does. As I said, it started with explaining that it has an influence on how our prefrontal cortex works.
Okay.
And so if it has an influence, it means that it has an impact in our decision making. Okay. And so the feelings we have and the judgments and the choices we make are all influenced by how grateful we feel about certain things. Okay. And so to some extent, it plays in our judgment and our decision in that sense. Yeah. And so whether we make the right choice or not, it also tells whether we feel content or grateful or appreciative of the life we have, or the life that we are living, or the life we have even lived. Okay. And so we have to look at it from that sense. But there are people that I see talk to me and like they wish they are in another family. They are not grateful for their family. They are not grateful. Like they wish they had a completely different life. And sadly, you can't have a different life. You can only have the life you have. And it can only get better. You can only work on it to become better. Yeah, and so that's how it is. Yeah.
Okay, let's do myths.
I forgot to say that there's a cultural dimension to gratitude.
Tell me.
So if you compare people who live in individualistic cultures, you realize that gratitude is more towards a person. They don't care about their society and their community. But we that live in a collective culture, it goes beyond the expressing gratitude to person. It's more about people. It's about community as well. And so there's more that is also expected. And so people need to know about this and say that, okay, we are also living in a collective culture. And so sometimes when one person, you don't show gratitude to one person, you think it's just that person, but actually probably a whole family that you have not shown gratitude to. And so it goes beyond that person. And so we need to
understand the context,
especially within the African context. That's very, very important.
True. Let's go to the myths. So Practicing gratitude will instantly solve all your problems and make you happy.
That's not true. Yeah, it helps with our happiness, but you need other factors.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't take away our problems.
Okay.
We need to find other means of dealing with the problems. Yeah.
Being grateful means you have to overlook or deny any negative feelings or experiences.
That's not true either. Being grateful means that you are acknowledging what the little things that worked for you, including the big things.
Yeah.
It does not also negate acknowledging the negative experiences and feelings you have as well. It does not negate that. We acknowledge them as well, and then we can find other ways of dealing with those issues as well. Gratitude might help to deal with them, but it doesn't take them away at all.
Got it. Gratitude is a practice that can be cultivated. It might not come naturally to everyone, and that's okay. But with intentional effort, people can develop a more grateful outlook over time.
That is very true.
Okay.
Like many emotions, it's a skill. The problem I have is that people expect people to show gratitude automatically, but it doesn't. Just like a skill, some people are at 0, others are at 1, others are at 5, others are at 10. Some people it comes very easy. Some people it takes a while, and sometimes we need to give them the room to build up that skill as well, and all of those.
While saying thank you is a part of gratitude, it also involves a deeper appreciation and mindfulness of the positive aspects of life and kindness of others.
That is true.
Okay.
Yeah, because I do not talk about mindfulness, but mindfulness is one of the things that if people practice, they learn to be more appreciative, because you're always paying attention to the everyday experiences as well as the little things that are going on, both the positives and the negatives. And so mindfulness brings you to that point where you tend to be more kind, or kinder, let me put it that way. And so yes, gratitude is beyond saying thank you. It's also in how you treat people. It's also in the little things that you do every day towards to show that you are actually grateful. So there are people who will not say thank you. They will not verbally say it,
but they will
show you that they are grateful. And that's also part of gratitude.
Okay. Gratitude should be reserved for significant events or gestures.
I don't think so. It should be everyday skill.
If you are grateful, you shouldn't have ambitions or desires for improvement.
That's not true either. You should desire to grow. Being grateful does not mean that you don't want to get better. You should desire.
Gratitude is a strength that can build resilience and improve relationships. It demonstrates humility and the recognition of interdependence.
Yes. And so we've talked about this back to back. And so that's like basically more like everything put together. Yeah, it's the resilience, it builds resilience and helps us to build our relationships and
You can only be grateful if your life is going well.
That's not true. That's not true. Life is going well. It's very subjective.
I like that.
It's very subjective. Okay. And depending on the perspective you take, that's when you would appreciate life. And so how people see life really differs. So you have to be grateful irrespective of where you are on the scale of life going well.
Gratitude is an internal state that can be cultivated regardless of external circumstances. People can find things to be grateful for even during difficult times.
Yes, I think that is very true. And it's not I think, it's a fact. Okay.
Yeah.
Gratitude is very internal, and you have to build it from the inside out. Yes, external events can, if you know how to be grateful internally, it's easier to show gratitude with the external events that come around. Yeah, and so I always say start from the within, and I always say you cannot do gratitude well if you don't know how to.
If you don't feel it within.
If you don't know how to be grateful for even basic things as your life.
Absolutely.
And the things, being able to have food and water and lights and little things. You will not know how to show gratitude when people show up at your events in numbers, and people buy you gifts, and usually people want to wait till they have experienced those ones before they want to show gratitude to external people. But I always say it starts with yourself, and even showing gratitude to yourself for holding on and going through it, and always staying up and fighting and working on and achieving your goals and all of those. Have you had time to say, hey, thank you so much for holding me through this path and all of those?
Gratitude doesn't eliminate all negative emotions or complaints. It's about maintaining a balanced perspective and recognizing the positives amidst challenges.
That's true. That's true. That's resilience, basically.
Yes. So, I think that I've loved this myth conversation because it's helped us see what it is and what it isn't, right? In lots of ways. Mm-hmm. And people have all these preconceived notions about what gratitude is and what it isn't. And this is a nice way of kind of getting people to have a quick and dirty way of just understanding what it is and isn't.
Yeah. I must say that in one of our theories, we've been talking about projective identifications, and it's big, but basically saying that people have ways of controlling people.
Okay.
And one of them is ingratiations. And so that's also the extreme of it, where
explain it.
People put people in positions that they feel forever indebted to them.
Okay.
I don't know if you get it. So those people do not really have a voice of their own. They are not assertive. They are not able to live up to them what they want. They cannot speak up.
Yes.
Because they are put in a certain situation where they feel like
a lifetime of servitude, or yes,
and they're listing, oh, you are not being grateful, you are being, and
because of one good thing someone did for you, they have to be perpetually thankful to you.
Yeah, so in as much as we talk about gratitude, this is something people need to be aware of, that there's also the possibility of finding yourself in an environment.
I found you your first job. You have to pay homage to me till you are 50.
Exactly. And for the rest of your life, you feel that way. Even if you have thanked the person so many times, shown appreciation in so many ways, it's not seen, it's not acknowledged. And the least thing you disagree with the person on something, you are reminded that it's a different form of expectation, and that falls within the abusive space of gratitude. It's very important for people to know and draw that line at that point.
Understood. So going into my verses, give thanks in all things, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. And did you want to say something before I carry on?
I think it's I think it's difficult.
It is hard.
It's difficult
It is
to
hard.
give thanks in all things.
It is hard.
You find patients in the hospital on a sick bed who is not dealing with battling cancer or some very difficult condition, and they are saying give thanks. That can be very hard.
Yes.
Or somebody in a very difficult position, like that can be very difficult.
I see that being hard. When I interpret the Bible talking about giving thanks in all things, my interpretation of that has been keeping a gratitude journal.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that I'm saying, thank you, God, that I'm being lashed in this particular area in my life. It's thank you, God, that in spite of the fact that I'm being lashed in this particular area of my life, I've got 100 other areas in my life
That's
that I
working.
have to be thankful for.
That's true.
Right?
Yes.
And so that is how I have that is my interpretation of giving thanks in all things, right?
Exactly.
So it's not, you're absolutely right. It's so incredibly hard,
exactly.
right? So and sometimes the part of your life that is not working is your 10, or is the part that's really important to you. And so it's hard to realize that
Other things are working.
that other things are working, because that's the part you really need to work, right? But I've learned that the parts that you take for granted, that you can breathe, that you're healthy, that you've got a plate of food on the table, that your kids are okay, that you have a partner who actually cares about you, who's present, that you have a parent, or you have 2 parents, or that you even have money to go to therapy. There are people who are abused at home, but even can't go to therapy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just being able to say that in spite of this, I have that.
That is true. So so it's
So you get where I'm coming
yeah,
from.
I was trying to get you to also
Flip it over.
because it's usually difficult for people to see that there's a lot to be thankful. That's because of the way the mind.
weight.
There's a lot of distortions we get ourselves into, and one of them is called minimization and maximization. Okay. And so the mind naturally tends to minimize the positives in our lives. Okay. And then it zooms out the negatives.
Yes.
And so when we are going through difficult, especially when the situation is very difficult or very challenging, naturally there will be a zoom and make it look more negative and not give us reason to look into the positives of our lives as well. So it's important that we know this way that the mind works. And there's also that filtering. It's like you put a sieve, you are preparing soup and you filter, you want the good soup and all of those. The mind does that too. So sometimes it filters the positives and push them away, and then leaves you with the negatives to zoom on. And
it's almost the 80-20, isn't it?
Yes.
Where, I mean, you have a really good relationship.
Yes.
And 80% of that relationship is what you want. But that small 20% that's not working is amplified. And sometimes you even walk away from the 80% in pursuit of the 20. And you realize that the only reason that 20 was important was because it was support. You had all the 80, if you know what I mean. And then suddenly you realize that, oh God, all the person's giving me is 20. This hasn't got anything else to offer.
I know, right?
Thank you. I think that, I mean, in as much as it's been a short conversation for reasons that we understand, it's been a really, really good conversation. I would like you to share two or three tips of things we can do that can help us make us more grateful people as we live our lives.
2 or 3. Okay. So I will practice of mindfulness I mentioned earlier as one of the things I usually recommend. Learn to pay attention to the present moment.
Live in the present.
Yes, because when you focus on the past more, you're definitely going to find something that didn't work,
Yes.
right? And then if you
Focus on
look
the
into the
future.
future too, it's going to make you
Anxiety.
anxious. And so the more you stay in these places, it's not healthy for you. But when you spend time in the present, you tend to have this innate ability to make changes or do things the way you hope it to be or make efforts towards what you want. And so that, for me, it's one of my first tips of if you want to be more grateful, learn to live
In the present.
and enjoy the present moment. The other thing that I would recommend is gratitude journaling. It's very important to keep a journal of things that works for you. There's also something called gratitude wheel. Yeah, so it's basically like a wheel that tells you you know what you. It's like you put all the things that are working. Okay, all your life on a wheel, and then you just rate it. Like maybe school is going very well, work is good, friendships not so well, my health not so well. Then you will see that okay, this is how
You see the patterns.
You see that it's because I always use the pizza as one of the examples. So when you get pizza, there's
It's all equal sizes.
Different sizes, like there are sizes of it. All right. And then you pick one piece and it doesn't taste well. Then you say, oh, the pizza is not good. You grab everything and you throw it away. But maybe it's just that one piece.
Okay.
Do you get it? Okay. And so sometimes that's how we see life. We look at it in that sense that if one part of our life is not going well, it means that all our life is not going well. But that's an error because maybe your finances, you don't have money, but you have good health.
Yeah.
Maybe you are doing other things that are picking up. You have good families who are supporting you. So when you draw the wheel, you know which part is going well and which one is not. So you're able to know where to focus as well and improve.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll make you a cocktail. So to the fun part, the requirement is that you taste it and then you tell me one thing that you taste. One thing, just one thing. Here you go.
Okay.
Cheers. Come on.
I know this, but...
I should have thought about doing something easy. I should have, actually. I wasn't fair to you.
One thing.
Just one flavor you taste. On that note, it's a wrap.